Okay, here we are. We're gonna talk about Kamikaze, this new Eminem project. I listened to it. I was gonna listen to it eventually. So, here we are. This is not... So everyone's like on Twitter, they're like, oh my goodness, Eminem's back. He's on fire, right? They do that every time he has a verse on anything. Like, oh, Majesty, Nicki Minaj, that was the best Eminem verse of all time. No, it wasn't. Shut up. The the Chloroseptic remix that came out, oh, best Eminem verse ever. No, it's not. Was it better than Revival? Yes. But doesn't mean he's the best he's ever been. No. I don't freaking know. So here's the thing with this thing, right? Like, Eminem is talented, and he proves it on this album. The whole point of this album, every track, like most tracks, except for, I think Fall was the one that was about D12, and then Nice Guy and Good Guy Good Guy was a bit about Revival, and then Venom was a soundtrack piece for the movie Venom, but he included it on this album for some reason. But like, a lot of these are just straight about Revival. The two Paul skits, because they're back because old Eminem had Paul skits, so we gotta put one of those in there. The Paul skits are literally like, oh, well, this dude didn't like that I rhymed the word rhymes with the word chimes, but, like, I rhymed the entire line there, so I'm going to his house and I'm gonna kill him because, Slim Shady. It's like, come on. Like, so the whole album is quite literally just a response to Revival, and I'm saying that more so than, like, Recovery was a response to Relapse. It's very much just, oh, well, you didn't like Revival? Well, here's my response. And that's it. And I don't think that, when you go back through his discography, right? Like, regardless of what you think about Eminem's older stuff, regardless of what you think about Eminem as an artist and, that whole thing, like, his albums were albums. And by that I mean, like, more so than many other artists, his albums were albums. They had a concept. There was a reason. You gotta focus, camera. Like, come on now. Like, your focus point is right here. And it should be, you're thinking about it now. Like, more so than many other artists, you can go through every single album by this guy, right? And you can say what it's about, right? And you can't say that about every artist, right? Sometimes they just drop good music, right? And that's the whole thing. But with Eminem, when he dropped an album, it was like, this is his album. This is what this is about. The first three quite literally were like the blank LP or the blank show, right? So, like, when you say what's the Slim Shady LP about, it's in the freaking title. That's what it's about. And the whole point is it's this awakening of this inner demon, this really messed up human being. Like, someone you're supposed to hate. And just, like, he's just let loose this angry demon, just, like, going to wreck people's shit. And so all of the album is just going as ridiculous as possible, just the subject matter on this is insane, right? And that's the concept of the album. I'm not saying it's a concept album when I say it's the concept of the album, so don't think I'm saying that. Marshall Mathers LP, it's like, oh, that's about him. That's about the person behind this character. And so on and so forth. And then you get to something like Relapse, and I'm gonna go back to Relapse, and I said this in the Revival thing. Relapse is my favorite Eminem album, and the reason why is because it has a really good, solid, tight core to it, and that core is something that I think is misunderstood by a lot of people. That being that, like, the whole core is that you're supposed to hate this. Like, the whole album, you're supposed to hate it. You're supposed to hate the voice. You're supposed to hate the character. You're supposed to hate the things he's saying, because he doesn't like that character anymore. He's done, and he can't. And that was the whole thing. Like, this is even more clarified in Revival, believe it or not, when he's like, I'm gonna release this last album. The last album was originally gonna be King Mathers, and then he overdosed, and that whole thing happened, and came back with Relapse, right? But the reason why I wanted to make that his last album is because he was burning bridges left and right. He couldn't do it anymore. It was too draining on him. So he wanted to kill the character, and the way you kill the character is by making him as detestable as humanly possible. And that's what Relapse was, and that's why the album's so good, because it's disgusting, and that's the whole point. So anyway, those are the examples I'm going to give. But like even with something like Revival, I would say that there's a core to the album. There's a key message or concept or something that he's trying to get across through this album that's more than just like, I'm talented, guys. In Revival, it was a reflection on fame. That was what the whole album was about. It was this meditation on fame. It was like, well, here's all these albums that I've done, and what is the consequence of that? And that's what Castle and the Rose were about as well. It was like, back when he did that, he burned so many bridges to get to fame, but then he was like, I'm gonna release this last album and be done. But now here he is still today making music. So that was part of the whole thing. Like he made songs like Bad Husband. He made another song kind of like Headlights and all the recovery stuff, because it was like, I all of these songs are about how much I hate this girlfriend, like on the old albums, right? Like you had 97 Bonnie and Clyde, and then Kim on that. It was like those were disgusting tracks. And then so he was like, no, that was bad, or I was wrong. I was wrong. So the whole thing is this meditation on, like, this reflection on where he is in his career and what he's doing and all this kind of stuff. And it's like, it works in that sense. It just doesn't work as a good rap album. So the thing with this is that I think the biggest issue with this release is that it just shouldn't have been an album. Make it a mixtape. Like, quite literally. Because when you make this an Eminem album, then you immediately have to hold it up to the standard of other Eminem albums. And when it comes to that, like, there aren't a lot, like, there's some good tracks on here. The Ringer was good. Greatest was interesting. Normal was kind of weird. Normal was kind of weird, like... Look in the mirror. She thinks I'm being mean, and now she starts to scream and shout. So it's pretty good. Not Alike with Royce was good, because Royce was really good. Fall, it was pretty good. It was about the 12. Nice Guy and Good Guy I did not like at all. I wanted to get through those as quickly as possible. So was Stepping Stone the really other bad one? Don't wanna open up Stepping Stones. That's okay. So like, that's all I got. That's just those noises. That's all I really got. So, look, if you're watching this video, you're like, my goodness, Eminem just dropped fire. He's like the greatest MC of all time. Look, he's talented. But my issue isn't that. Like, he's talented, right? But like, this is not an album. Compared to the fully, well put together, like, projects of prior Eminem albums, like, this is just not that. And like, he puts on Twitter, he's like, I try not to overthink this. I'm like, okay, if you try not to overthink, you just make some good tracks, and that's fine. But like, that's not this stuff. Like, when you go back, like, if I guarantee it, this is the best way I'll explain it, because I'm pretty mad on this album. I probably won't revisit it. That's just how I feel, right? But for some people, they're going to be like, this is fire. I'm going to blast this for the rest of the year, right? But how is this album going to sound in 5 years? Because all he raps about on this thing is Revival. That's it. And people are going to forget about Revival in 5-6 years. And yeah, it might mean something in Eminem's career, but like, it's Revival isn't this miserable failure. Like, it's not a spaghetti incident. It's not that level. It's just mediocre. So when your next album, your 10th album, is just about the 9th one, this shouldn't be an album. Like, it just doesn't fit into that lineup, So I'm probably not gonna revisit this, but if you like it, cool. Like, I mean, it's better than Revival, but the main thing that this album does is make you hate Revival more, and that's about it. This album didn't prove anything. Let's put it that way, because we already knew he could rap after the Chloroseptic remix came out, and then every time he dropped a verse after that, it was like, oh, this is the best verse of all time. It's not. It's not like even the Chloroseptic thing. Like that wasn't his best verse ever, but it served a purpose. So this is just an album of the Chloroseptic remix. And if you want that, cool. I didn't really want that, but it's